Hello everyone and welcome to another Star Wars Old Republic video where we are talking about some new information about Knights of the Eternal Throne. Now, there has been some data mining that's going on, and that's basically what this video is going to be talking about. I did do a previous video where I talked about the bulk of the information that had been data mined and released so far, and this one is more about the soundtrack. Now, the soundtrack has also been data mined, and if you do want to listen to the whole thing or listen to parts of it or stuff, I'll leave the link in the description. You can go check that out. But what this video is more based upon is the titles of the soundtracks. Now those are very interesting and they kind of hint to some things we might be seeing in Knights of the Eternal Throne, some locations we might be able to explore, and that's basically what I want to talk about. Now while this video will not contain heavy spoilers because there are really no spoilers, you can't really extrapolate that much information from these soundtrack titles, and it's all kind of just speculation and stuff. But if you absolutely don't want any spoilers, I do suggest you click off the video because we are going to be talking about and speculating on Knights of the Eternal Throne and some of the things that we might be seeing there. Now, I'm not going to be going through all the titles, although there's some really cool stuff. So once again, if you do want to look at it for yourself and form your own opinions, the link will be in the description. You can go check that out. But the one thing that I definitely want to talk about was there's four soundtracks here, and they're all titled Nethenma General. Now, for those of you who don't know what Nethenma is, it's the planet, and it's actually where the so-called immortal Sith Emperor was born. He was born as a little child, and there's a lot of lore and stuff associated with it, but basically he was born on the planet. It wasn't called Nethenma at that time. What happened was he was a kid, and like I don't know, he killed his father, who was like abusive or something, and then he went on, gained a lot of following, and a lot of villagers started to follow him, and he went ahead and killed the Sith overlord that was overseeing the planet. And Marka Ragnos, who was the Sith king at the time, the Sith ruler, he was so impressed with this little kid that he actually made him the ruler of the entire planet, which he renamed as Nethenma. And that kid then grew up to be the immortal Sith Emperor. And some of the cooler lore that's associated with the planet itself is that when Naga Sadow lost the Great Hyperspace War, he recalled or called all of the remaining Sith Lords and all of the remaining kind of leaders of the Empire to the planet. And he said, this is where we'll reform our Empire, make sure that we all survive. But what he did was he performed a ritual that consumed all life on Ethenma, all the dark energy of the Sith Lords and stuff, and killed everyone. And that's how he became immortal. That's what allowed him to live on for hundreds of years. And also in the SWTOR storyline, we do see him perform similar rituals on Ziost and stuff like that. So that's some of the really cool lore that's associated with this planet. And so seeing that there's a soundtracks named after it, well, that kind of perhaps indicates or hints that we're going to be able to explore this location. And it also kind of hints that we're going to be delving deep into Valkorian's past, and we're going to be getting a lot more characterization of Valkorian. And some of the other things that hint to that is also we have some soundtracks here that are called Valkorian Custom Moment or Valkorian Family Theme. And we also have some that are called try to find it here. Thexon main theme and stuff. So it seems as though we're kind of delving deeper into the history of the Valkorian's family and how he became Valkorian in the first place. And it's very interesting because the Sith Emperor that the Jedi Knight fights, and the Sith Emperor who is out there consuming life, the Sith Emperor who's fighting Revan and stuff, that's a very, very different character than the Sith Emperor we see in Valkorian, who's a lot more calm and collected, and it's not so hell-bent on consuming all life in the galaxy. And so it's quite interesting to see that transformation, and I do want to know like how that happened, and how did he even have a family? How did he start his family? How did the Eternal Throne and the Eternal Fleet get so powerful? And so seeing as though we might be delving deeper into some of that background and that history really makes me excited for Knights of the Eternal Throne. And I'm hoping that they can enthrall me more in the story if they stick to some of that really cool old SWTOR content. And what I'm talking about is things like Nethenma and some of that really old lore that we have. We have such a rich storyline when it comes to SWTOR, and I do hope they kind of provide some links and they link back to it. And seeing that we might be able to explore Nethenma and planets like that, that's very exciting. Anyways, that's basically all I really wanted to talk about. There is some other information you might be able to find in some of the soundtracks and some speculation you can make for yourself. So I do encourage you to go ahead and check out the soundtracks and stuff. But on the other hand, once again, the information at this point is really primitive, and we're kind of reaching a little bit. At least I'm kind of looking at this and trying to speculate as much as I can because it's a lot of fun to speculate. But on the other hand, you have to take a lot of this information with a grain of salt because we don't really know what's going to happen or what's subject to change, or what the writers are thinking about when they're actually making the storylines or whatever. And so it's definitely going to be interesting to see the direction they take with Knights of the Eternal Throne. And once again, I'm hoping that they keep providing those links to old SWTOR lore that is really cool and that's really, really interesting. And I do hope they provide some more characterization for Valkorion and how he links to the immortal Sith Emperor, because I don't know if you guys know or not, but definitely Sith Emperor Vitiate is my favorite Star Wars character of all time. Never mind your SWTOR character, my favorite Star Wars character. He's just absolutely awesome in everything he does. And so seeing as though that he might be playing a big role, or at least there's going to be a lot of story content that's dedicated to him in Knights of the Eternal Throne, is very exciting. And so I do hope that's actually the case. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little speculation I'm doing. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one.